Have you ever wondered what makes some people so unshakably calm, even when life throws its worst at them? It's not a superpower, and it's not that they don't feel stress. The secret lies in something psychologists call the locus of control. At the very core of calmness is this one crucial distinction. Where do you place control? People who tend to panic in a crisis place control outside of themselves. They focus on things they can't command, like other people's reactions, outcomes they can't guarantee, or validation they can't secure. So when a storm hits, they lose their footing because their foundation was never built on solid ground. It was external, fragile, and dependent on things outside their power. On the other hand, truly calm people operate from an internal locus of control. When chaos erupts, they don't waste energy trying to fix everything or control other people. They don't desperately search for an escape from discomfort. Instead, they ask themselves one simple, powerful question. What is mine to govern right now? This question is a game changer. It immediately brings the focus back to what they can actually manage. Not the entire chaotic situation, but their own small, manageable world. Things like their breath. Can they slow it down? Can they make it deeper? What about their posture? Are they slumped in defeat or sitting tall with intention? They focus on their response, not the knee-jerk reaction, but the considered, deliberate action they choose to take. And they focus on their very next decision. Not the 10 decisions after that, but just the one small step right in front of them. This containment of focus is incredibly powerful. It shrinks the storm. Suddenly, the overwhelming chaos becomes a series of manageable moments. Chaos only feels so crushing when we misallocate our sense of responsibility, when we try to carry the weight of things that were never ours to carry in the first place. Calm individuals don't attempt to manage the uncontrollable. They manage themselves. And paradoxically, this self-management is what makes them so influential and powerful in any situation. By mastering their inner world, they gain a surprising degree of influence over the outer world. So, the next time you feel that wave of panic rising, try it. Stop and ask yourself, what is mine to govern right now? Focus on your breath, your posture, your response, and your next single decision. You'll be amazed at how quickly the storm inside you begins to quiet down. Now, there's another layer to this incredible calmness we see in some people. It's often mistaken for simple confidence, but it's much deeper than that. In reality, it's memory. The kind of calm that withstands the fiercest storms is usually forged in the fires of past disasters. Think about it. People who remain steady during a crisis often carry a private archive, a mental library of all the times they've survived what felt uncertain. They remember betrayals that completely broke them, losses that hollowed them out and left them feeling empty, and periods of intense isolation where it felt like no help was ever going to arrive. They've experienced failures that were so profound, they felt stripped of their very identity. They know, intimately, what the bottom feels like. They've been there. They've touched the floor, and because of that, the current storm, as intense as it might be, doesn't intimidate them in the same way. It's like a seasoned sailor who has weathered a hurricane. A squall just doesn't trigger the same level of fear. They are no longer terrified of emotional death, because in a way, they've already died before. They haven't broken down to their very foundation and have had to rebuild themselves from the ashes, and they returned. Stronger. Wiser. This process creates a kind of psychological immunity, when you know deep in your bones that you can survive utter devastation. Pressure loses its leverage over you. The fear of what if becomes less potent because you already lived through the what if and come out the other side. Your nervous system itself learns a profound lesson. It recalibrates. The message changes from this is a threat to my existence to this is uncomfortable, but it is not fatal. That lesson alone is enough to calm the body's frantic alarm bells. It's the quiet wisdom that says, I've been here before, and I survived. I can survive this, too. This isn't about being fearless. It's about having a deep, earned trust in your own resilience. It asks the quiet strength that comes from knowing you've faced your own ruins and learned how to build again. This is the true source of that unshakable calm. It's not confidence. It's memory. It's survival. So, how do we cultivate this internal locus of control and build this archive of resilience? It starts with small, conscious choices every single day. When you face a minor frustration stuck in traffic, a disagreement with a colleague, a project that isn't going to plan practice, asking that question, what is mine to govern right now? Maybe you can't change the traffic, but you can change the music you're listening to. You can't control your colleague's opinion, but you can control how you articulate your own. You can't instantly fix the project, but you can break down the next step into a tiny, achievable task. Each time you do this, you're doing a rep at the mental gym. You're strengthening your internal control muscle. You're teaching your brain to stop looking for external solutions and start looking for internal power. And when you go through something genuinely difficult, something that tests your limits, make a conscious effort to acknowledge your survival afterward. Don't just rush on to the next thing. Take a moment to honor your own strength. Write it down. Tell a trusted friend. Cement that memory. You are building your private archive, your library of resilience. This isn't about dwelling on the past. It's about drawing strength from it. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate storms from your life. That's impossible. The goal is to become the calm, steady lighthouse in the center of your own storm. To know that no matter how hard the winds blow or the waves crash, your light is powered from within, and it will not go out. You have survived before, and you will survive again. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on building resilience and inner strength. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What's one storm you've survived that made you stronger? Let's share and learn from each other. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Have you ever noticed how some people seem completely unshakable, even when everything around them is falling apart? It's like they have this superpower of staying calm in the middle of a storm. You might think they're just born that way, or Mabi Teori just pretending. But the truth is, this kind of calm isn't a personality trait. It's a skill. It's a trained response. And here's the secret. Calm is physiological before it's philosophical. What does that mean? It means your body learns to be calm before your mind even decides to be. People who stay composed during chaos have, often without even realizing it, trained their nervous systems. They've been through tough times. They've had to endure long, uncomfortable periods of uncertainty, just waiting, not knowing what's going to happen next, holding all that tension inside without any immediate release. Over time, something incredible happens. Their nervous system adapts. It learns that it doesn't need an instant solution to feel safe. It becomes comfortable with the unknown. This is incredibly rare in today's world. Most of us are wired to confuse urgency with importance. We get an email flagged as urgent, and our heart starts racing. A problem pops up, and we feel this overwhelming need to fix it right now. But calm individuals see through this. They understand that urgency is often just an emotional reaction, not a reflection of true importance. When pressure mounts, their breathing stays slow and steady. Their voice doesn't crack or rush. Their movements are deliberate and controlled, and it's not an act. They're not just trying to appear calm. It's a physical state of being, not just a mental one. What was the first thing people started doing? Most likely, they started talking more. A lot more. When storms arrive, it's a natural human instinct to explain, to justify, to over-communicate. We fill the silence with words, because the silence feels terrifying. They do the exact opposite. They become quieter. They reduce their output. Instead of talking, they start listening. They observe what's happening around them. They watch how others are reacting. They understand a powerful principle. Silence in the midst of chaos is not emptiness. It is containment. It's a signal to everyone else, and more importantly, to themselves, that says, I am not overwhelmed. I have this under control. And here's the interesting part. The calm person doesn't rush to take charge. They don't immediately jump in and start giving orders. They wait. They let the storm play out a bit, allowing others to expose their own anxieties and motivations through their reactions. It's a masterclass in using silence, not as a void, but as a powerful tool of observation and influence. So, how do they manage to stay so composed? A huge part of it is what we can call emotional self-sufficiency. Calm people do not outsource their emotional regulation. This is a game changer. Think about it. Most of us, when we feel anxious or scared, we immediately look for something or someone outside of ourselves to make us feel better. We need immediate reassurance from a friend. We crave constant validation that we're doing the right thing. We look for external soothing, whether it's a comforting word, a distraction, or some kind of quick fix. The emotionally self-sufficient person doesn't need any of that. They have cultivated the ability to sit with their own discomfort alone. But that's not what it means in this context. True detachment isn't about not caring, it's about gaining perspective. When chaos erupts, a calm individual has the mental ability to zoom out. Instead of getting bogged down in the confusing, emotional details of the moment, they see the bigger picture. They start looking for patterns. They've seen storms before, and they know that most crises follow a predictable cycle. So they ask themselves different kinds of questions. Not, why is this happening to me? But what always happens next in situations like this? Not who is to blame, but what is this situation really about? At its core, they also ask what is being tested here. Is it my patience? They recognize that most chaos isn't a personal attack. This detached perspective allows you to make decisions based on clear-headed strategy, not on hurt feelings or a bruised ego. So, to recap these powerful ideas, true calm starts in the body, with a nervous system trained by experience to withstand uncertainty. It's then amplified by the strategic use of silence, which signals containment and control in the midst of chaos. This is all supported by a foundation of emotional self-sufficiency, the ability to soothe your own anxieties without relying on others. And finally, it's guided by a detached perspective, which allows you to see the big picture and act strategically instead of reacting emotionally. This isn't about being emotionless or perfect. It's about building a new relationship with pressure and uncertainty. It's a skill set that anyone can develop with intention and practice. And ask yourself, what is this really about? By practicing these principles, you can begin to train your own nervous system and become the calm center in any storm. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you in the next one.